the parting of the Red Sea. Long ago, in ancient lands where golden sands stretched beneath vast skies, there lived a people who had known generations of hardship. They were the Israelites, and for over 400 years they had labored in Egypt, building great monuments under the burning sun, while the Nile River flowed peacefully through the landscape. In the royal palaces, Pharaoh ruled over all the land, but fear grew in his heart. The Israelite people had become numerous, and so the bondage continued, and the people's cries for freedom rose into the heavens. Then came Moses, raised in Pharaoh's own palace, yet born to Hebrew parents. After years in the wilderness, he returned with a simple wooden staff and an extraordinary message. Through wonders and signs, water turned to blood, frogs covering the land, darkness blanketing the sky, Moses pleaded for his people's freedom. Finally, after the most terrible night, Pharaoh released the Israelites. Approximately 600,000 men departed, plus women and children, along with flocks and herds. They traveled eastward, guided by a pillar of cloud during the day and a pillar of fire by night, their footsteps creating clouds of dust as they journeyed toward freedom. But Pharaoh's grief soon turned to anger. Gathering his army, including 600 of his finest chariots, he pursued the Israelites with his horsemen and troops. The Egyptian military force was formidable and determined. The Israelites reached a place where the wilderness met the sea. The Hebrew term Yam Suf literally means sea of reeds, suggesting perhaps a marshy area where reeds grew along shallow waters. What mattered was that the people found themselves trapped between the waters ahead and their pursuers behind. When the Israelites looked back and saw dust clouds rising from Pharaoh's approaching chariots, terror seized them. The thunder of hooves and wheels grew louder. Before them stretched the sea, its waters deep and insurmountable. They cried out in prayer and despair. Moses stood before them and raised his arms. "Do not be afraid," he told them. "Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today." His voice carried across the multitude, offering comfort even as the situation seemed impossible. As evening approached, the pillar of cloud moved behind them, positioning itself between the Egyptian army and the Israelites. To the Egyptians, it appeared as darkness, but provided light for the Israelites throughout the night. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. Through the night, a strong east wind began to blow, not a gentle breeze, but a powerful, steady wind that pushed against the waters. Hour after hour, the wind blew, and gradually, miraculously, the waters began to divide. The sea was driven back all night long, creating walls of water on both sides. The seabed beneath was exposed, transformed from mud to dry ground by the continuous rush of air. This was a corridor wide enough for a multitude to pass through with their children, elderly, animals, and possessions. As dawn began to break, painting the sky with soft colors, the Israelites could see the pathway clearly. Walls of water stood on their right and on their left, held in place by forces beyond human understanding. With hope renewed, the Israelites began to cross. Parents held children's hands tightly. The elderly leaned on staffs. Young people helped carry possessions. The sounds of their passage echoed between those towering walls of water. The crossing took several hours for such a vast number of people. Behind them, as morning light grew stronger, the Egyptian army saw the pathway and began their pursuit. Chariot wheels rolled onto the seabed. Horses' hooves struck the ground that had been beneath the waves. The Egyptians entered confidently, but as the last Israelites reached the far shore safely, the chariot wheels began to come off, getting stuck. Confusion spread through the Egyptian ranks as they realized they had entered something beyond their control. Then Moses, standing on the far shore, stretched out his hand over the sea once more. The walls of water began to flow back. The sea returned to its natural state with tremendous power, flowing over the chariots, the horsemen, Pharaoh's entire army. The rushing waters covered them completely. Not one survived. When the Israelites looked back across the water in the morning light, they saw the evidence of what had happened. The people stood in awe, their hearts filled with wonder. Moses' sister Miriam took a tambourine, and all the women followed her with tambourines and dancing. Songs of celebration rose into the morning air, songs that would be remembered for generations. This event became central to the identity of the Israelite people, commemorated in Passover, remembered in prayers and songs, recounted from parents to children through countless generations. Scholars throughout history have contemplated this event. Some have proposed natural explanations, such as strong winds creating temporary land bridges. Others point to precise timing, the wind beginning exactly when needed, the waters parting just when the Israelites arrived, as evidence of something beyond mere chance. The Israelites continued their journey into the wilderness, carrying the memory of what happened at the sea. Whenever they faced hardships, they could remember the night the wind blew and the morning the waters parted. They could remember walking between walls of sea on dry ground, emerging as a people delivered from bondage. The story endures because it speaks to something universal: the hope for deliverance when we feel trapped, the possibility of new paths opening when all seems lost. Whether interpreted as a historical event, spiritual metaphor, or sacred narrative, the parting of the Red Sea continues to inspire wonder. As you rest now, think of those ancient travelers, finally able to breathe freely, finally able to lie down without fear. The journey ahead would be long, but they had crossed the sea. They had walked through on dry ground. They were free. Let the gentle rhythm of waves lull you to peace. Let the image of that pillar of cloud give you comfort. Rest in the knowledge that even the deepest waters can part, that even impossible situations can transform, that morning can bring deliverance after the darkest night. Sleep peacefully, as the Israelites must have slept on a far shore, exhausted but safe at last, their hearts full of wonder, their eyes closed with a memory of walls of water and dry ground beneath their feet, and the vast, mysterious sea behind them, crossed, conquered, and calm once more.